DC here. Hi guys and gals. Well, yeah, it's not Friday, but it's Thursday, but still I can make, I guess, what we could call a lunch vlog, although it won't be a lunch vlog. I won't be giving an update, but I'll start this series that I was talking about being an expat. Now, first off, I mean expat, most of you I guess know it means expatriate or what, but what brought us from Canada to Europe? Well, part of the story's already been told, but I might as well start from the beginning. When I was doing my studies in Canada, which was in chemistry at the time, and it was a PhD, and at the end of a PhD in organic chemistry, which was, you could say, the equivalent of my major, when you were finished doing a PhD, you went off and did what we called a postdoc. Now, the postdoc was, you'd work. I mean, it was counting as studies in a way, but you were working, we would always call it the postdoctoral studies, but you would be getting an actual pay. In my case, I was one of the lucky ones. I got a scholarship from the Canadian government to go off and do that postdoc. Now, the usual things, I was going to say, way of doing things was to contact different professors. I had a colleague of mine who was at MIT at the time, and I had first contacts there, which probably would have been the place I would have gone. But finally, the thing is that I was wondering, it's very, very much dog eat dog, and the competition is very, very fierce in the American universities, in particular like places like Harvard and MIT, Stanford, and so on. Well, I was at a conference in Montreal with my PhD supervisor and others, and there was the professor of chemistry, a very well-known professor, who was giving a talk there, and we went after to a medieval meal. So I mean, really, in some place on Montreal. I don't remember exactly now. I think it was on near where Man in His World is, where the old Expo 67, somewhere around there. But I don't remember really now anymore. But so we were here eating with our hands and getting really messy, and I was next to my PhD supervisor and Professor Sir. Well, I won't give his full name, but anyway, at Oxford, and he turned to me and said in his very characteristic British accent if I would be considering doing a postdoc with him, because he knew he'd been told I was finishing my PhD. Well, I was with Mrs. DC as well at the time. We kind of looked at each other and said that we'd definitely think about it, because going to Europe was something. I mean, it was in a way really exciting. Going to England and going to Oxford. I mean, there was things that were really, really, I was going to say, attractive about that. Yeah. Now, I'll hurry up a little bit, because otherwise this will be like, talking my life in 500 videos. But we did all the paperwork, but the British are not very fast in giving out their permits. Well, I mean, their work permits, because I needed a work permit to get over there as well, like an entry visa in a way. So I had all the letters, we could say, the letters of invitation and so on. Even the equivalent of a work contract, one could say, for those studies from that period. Had my grant, which showed I was not going to be costing the people any money. But finally, what happened is that we took our plane ticket, because at the end of the PhD we needed to have the plane ticket. There was costs, and I still didn't have the okay from the British government. So we went over thinking worst to worst, we'll go in as tourists and try and settle things over there. Now, normally you should settle things before coming into the country. And when I got to the customs and the immigration actually, they were asking me what I was doing. I said, I don't know if I can say I bluffed it, but I said I was invited to come over into Sir Professor's lab and so on at Oxford. And I had a letter and everything, and I showed it to them. And so they stamped my my passport. But when I got there, I was so, oh my God, you should not have come over. It'll be so much more work now to... Well, anyway, from one thing to the other, it took about 8 months into the stay before the paperwork was finished. So I'm glad we did it, but I mean, it was kind of a little stressful time. Arrival in Oxford? I guess I'll have to keep that for another one. Okay, so that is, well, goodness sakes, part 1 and probably part 100 of 100 of what it's like to be living as an expat. Okay, and by the way, that was in 1985, so it's a long ways off now already. Okay, DC, signing off, and take care, all of you, on this Thursday kind of lunch vlog. Bye-bye. Take care.